gaming enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're well and I hope you're having a great day. This is actually the first video I've done since I've been back from holiday. And in today's video, I'm going to be wrapping my exhaust manifold stroke downpipe. And I don't mean like a carbon fibre wrap. We're going to be fitting some titanium heat exhaust wrap. And as you will see in the video, this is one of the most horrible jobs I've ever done. I never want to do this again. So keep watching to find out why. And I've got a massive favour to ask of you. Almost 2 years ago, I started a second channel called Rev and Restore. I started that channel because I started putting TVR content on the mini channel and people didn't like it. And I wanted to reach out and branch out and do other types of videos. So on my other Rev and Restore video, there's a fair bit of TVR content, but there's also other vehicles and other bits and bobs as well. Some of the stuff you won't see on this channel. And moving forward, I'm probably just going to put more about my other hobbies on the other channel. And I don't want to sort of contaminate this channel. So the channel's been going for almost 2 years. I'm nearly at 1,000 subscribers. So that is the point that you can monetize. But YouTube have just said they're going to move the goalposts. So previously you needed to get 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours in a year. And that's not easy to attain. I have over 4,000 watch hours and I'm just sort of the subscribers. It changes in February, so I want to get that channel up to 1,000 subscribers before they move the goalposts. So if you fancy doing me a favour, pop on over and subscribe to that channel. I would really appreciate it, and you'll probably see some videos and some unique content that you're not going to see on here. I'll certainly try and put some more interesting stuff, maybe a little bit more personal stuff about other hobbies I do and what I get up to in my spare time. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and if you have a tendency to feel prickly and you don't like prickly stuff and that, then yeah, you'll see. Right guys, today we're doing another little job on the Super City. I've got some heat wrap here. And I'm going to be wrapping the exhaust manifold and downpipe. Now, this is the exhaust manifold I'm going to use. I'm sure people will get in the comments and say, Keith, you should use a stainless steel LCB or whatever type of exhaust. But I am well over budget on this car. I spent a lot of money. This is perfectly serviceable. Yes, you could probably buy a better exhaust that might give a few more brake horsepower, but there is a budget and I don't have endlessly deep pockets. So I'm going to be heat wrapping this 3-in-1 manifold. Now this isn't really about making the exhaust look pretty. There's actually a really good reason why I want to do this, particularly on a supercharged engine. So before I start wrapping everything up, let me explain what I'm trying to achieve. You might be thinking, why am I wrapping the exhaust? Well, more horsepower. Well, sort of, but not in the way you might think. Hot air isn't particularly good for an engine. What we actually want going into the engine is cool, dense air. That's going to give us the most brake horsepower out the engine. The colder the air, the denser it is, which means you get more oxygen molecules into the same volume of air. And more oxygen means you can burn more fuel, which ultimately gives you the potential to make more power. And that's particularly important on a supercharged engine because we're deliberately forcing more air into the engine in the first place. So whilst wrapping the exhaust isn't magically going to give me another 10 horsepower, what it can do is reduce the amount of heat being dumped into the engine bay. And if I can reduce the temperature around the intake system and the air going into the supercharger, then I'm helping the engine get the coldest, densest air possible. So technically I am adding more horsepower, just probably not enough for me to put on the dyno and claim another 20 brake horsepower. The real reason for doing this is heat management. Obviously, as you know, the exhaust manifold and downpipe sits down the back of the engine here It's one of the hottest parts in the engine bay. Some cars you have the exhaust manifold at the front, but on a Mini it's down the back. So we've got the exhaust, downpipe and manifold down the back there in this confined space. Then we're going to plonk a supercharger on top as well, and it just radiates lots and lots of heat inside the engine bay, and it can get very hot under there, and that's not going to help with performance, particularly on a supercharged Mini where we've got lots going on in a very small engine bay. Every little bit of heat reduction helps. So this is what I've bought. It's advertised as titanium exhaust heat wrap, which I had to Google a bit because titanium's a metal. It's not very bendy, and you certainly can't turn it into cloth tape like that. But it's 10 meters long, 50 millimeters wide, and approximately 2 mil thick. So hopefully it looks like enough to do that manifold with some spare, although you do overlap it as you go, so it is going to use quite a bit. It comes with these stainless steel metal strips for securing the ends and holding everything in place. It's rated to 1100 degrees Fahrenheit continuously, which is roughly around about 600 degrees C. And it can apparently cope with up to 2100 degrees Fahrenheit intermittently. So if you were using this on a turboed setup, you would be absolutely fine. The metal would melt on the exhaust before it exceeded the capability of the heat wrap. Now, I'm obviously not going to take those figures as gospel and claim that this particular roll of heat wrap has been independently tested to those temperatures. It's an aftermarket product. There are some pretty wild claims on some of these listings, but specifically it's designed for exhaust systems, so that's what I'm going to use it for. And as I mentioned, I googled it. Is it actually titanium? I'm sure it's not. So there's something quite interesting about this stuff. It's called titanium exhaust wrap, but this isn't actually made from titanium steel. And that makes sense when you think about it, because it wouldn't be able to wrap around the exhaust. The word titanium in this type of product refers to the type of high temperature exhaust wrap and its construction, rather than it actually being a roll of metallic titanium. Some of the premium products on the market, such as DEI's titanium exhaust wrap, are actually manufactured using lava rock that's processed into fibres and then woven into the flexible material, which is what we have here. It's actually quite clever, really. You've essentially taken a material that can withstand enormous temperatures, turned it into a flexible fabric that can be wrapped around an exhaust system. So I'm not going to wrap the entire exhaust system, although I do have it up against the wall over there. That's really not much point wrapping the sections that are underneath the car and aren't surrounded by anything particularly heat sensitive. It would be a bit of a waste, really. I'm concentrating on the manifold and downpipe that obviously sit between the firewall and the engine itself. This is the area potentially dumping a lot of radiant heat into everything around it and the supercharger. And because we've got the supercharger and the intake system directly above it, it's the bit I'm most interested in protecting. So before we start, a couple of important bits. Wear gloves. This stuff is fibrous. This titanium type stuff is a different sort of makeup. You can get stuff that's got like glass fibres in it, and that stuff's horrible. Gets into your skin, prickly, not nice. And wear a dust mask as well. So you probably want to have a little bit of a plan and think about how you're going to do it first, depending on what type of exhaust you've got. Obviously this is all one piece. Looking at this, we've obviously got the center Siamese port here, which runs down into the collector, and then we've got the two pieces here. So we'll actually be using 3 sections of heat wrap, one for this, and then one for this bit of pipe and one for that bit of pipe. When it goes on, it wants about a 50% overlap the whole way down. So you kind of got to plan it. Ideally, you want to measure out how much you need first, otherwise you're going to end up passing the roll of heat wrap in and around the exhaust. So what I'm probably going to do, I mean, this is 2 inches wide. I think it's 2 inches wide. Did I say that? Let me have a look. Looks 2 inches, doesn't it? What do we reckon? It's 2 inches wide. So if we're doing a 50% overlap, we're going to be going round every inch. So what I might do, I'm going to get a bit of string and see if I can measure it, and then I've got 10 meters of the stuff. I'll generously give myself extra and hopefully we won't run out. Right, I am lacking on the string side a bit. I've got some string here. It's only about 1.5 meters long. Let's see. It'll give me some idea, won't it? If I start up here, and I'm just going to use a temporary cable tie just to hold the tape into place. And then hopefully this will give me a rough idea of how much wrap I need. I have never done this before. Never ever wrapped an exhaust. So this is, I'm an exhaust wrapping virgin. I'm going to struggle in this bit here because that is practically touching. Let's get measured out anyway. So like I say, I want to be measuring, I reckon, about 1 inch gap each time. Right, I'll shut up and we'll time lapse this. Right, so with that one piece of string, that gets me pretty much down to the collector part here. So I need, in fact, I can measure that out as well, can't I? I just need to pull this off. So it's that length. Let's just unravel all of this. I have found actually that you can get a bit of movement here because I really think I'm going to struggle to get the exhaust wrap between these two bits of exhaust here. But as you can see, if you apply a bit of pressure, you can get a gap. There we go. Right, I just need to measure this piece now. So that's 1.7 meters. So we'll carry on now. 1.7 meters plus 1.5 meters. 2.2 meters we need then. So should be enough wrap to do the whole exhaust, but we've got the cock it up factor yet to go, haven't we? So I'm going to measure out my 1.7 meters now. Just going to trim up this end because it's all frayed and that's going to get quite annoying. Have I got scissors that will cut this? What did I say? 2.2 meters. 1.5 plus 1.7, wasn't it? Right, that's 1 meter. That's 2 meters. And to there, 2.2. I'll add a smidge just because. Probably worth noting, some people might say in the comments, on the fiberglass wrap, you have to damp it down first. You don't get it wet, not soaking wet anyway, but you damp it first. Helps with the fibres coming off, but it also, I think it helps activate it. You don't have to do it with this type of wrap. Not sure whether this is going to help, but I'm just going to tape up the end here. Try and stop it fraying while I'm moving it all around. There we go. So this is the end we are starting with. Now the tip here is to use cable ties, and then once you're happy with the position of it, and then you can go on to using the metal ties. And stay tuned, because I've got a little tip for how to get them on really tight. First thing you need to start off though, they recommend, is just folding over the end like this, so you don't get those frayed ends. Fold it over, tie it on, and then continue to wrap it. Already, see, that's a bit of a faff straight away. The first loop I'm going to do will go over by 100%, and then we'll start slowly moving it down approximately 50% at a time. So I've got my first bit started now. I'm just going to put a tie wrap up there. To be honest, it's holding pretty well even without the wrap on there, because I've sort of, the first loop pretty much goes back on itself. It's holding pretty well, but you need to, when you're putting this on, you need to sort of apply tension on it as well. So it does get a little bit fiddly. I'm just going to put another wrap there because it's going to start getting fiddly. Right, out comes the bar of persuasion. So I can get a bit of movement there. Might need to hold this in the vise. Ah, look at that. That wasn't too bad. You get a feeling I might have underestimated on how much I'm going to need. Right, so that's that first section done. I did massively underestimate. I should have got to here. It's not a problem. I'm glad I got to here. If I didn't get to here, I'd unwrap it and start again. But this is fine because I can, these two sections are all going to come together and terminate here, so I can wrap this with a tie and then carry on with the other piece. So that took 2.2 meters to do that. That exhaust pipe is larger than the others and a bit more bendy. So how much do I do for the other ones? I started off with, I've got 10 meters, haven't I? So let's just round, so 2 meters, 4 meters, 6 meters. So I'm going to measure out 2 meters for this piece. In fact, I might go 2.2 again. This one should be shorter because it only goes to here. It's only going to come to this collector here. Does that make sense? I'll just get on with it now. Yeah, I'll go on to time lapse. Right, let's move on to the next bit. I've measured it out, and you'll probably hear from my voice I'm a numpty. Even though I said about wearing a mask, I didn't do. So I've put it on now. But you start to notice it, the particles in the air, it's not nice. Again, to start off, we just fold in on itself like that, so we don't get those frayed edges. And then, as I've said, the first rack is 100% over itself. When you start out, you don't think you're going to create much of that fibrous dust in the air, but you do, just because you're tugging on the tape, you're manipulating it, moving it all around. I can feel it all over my body actually. It's like, you know when you go up into the loft, it's like that. It's prickly, it's horrible. Should have probably put some overalls on for it. Right, so that's the exhaust all heat wrapped now. It's just on with cable ties. I'm pretty pleased with how it's gone. 100% wear that mask and those gloves. This is horrible stuff. Really sort of gets to you. Only bit I'm not perfectly pleased with is, like, I've got a gap here and I've got a gap there. So I might... I've got some spare and I've got plenty of wraps, I think. So yeah, I might have to patch those little bits up, but they're just, yeah, it's almost impossible to get it on there. Right, so these metal clips, there's a bit of a knack to tightening these up, and I saw this tip on YouTube. So what I'm going to do is get a spare quarter drive socket and then cut a slit down the middle of it, so bear with me. I mean, that does get it pretty tight. I think I'm just trying too hard. Right, I'm going to leave it at that. So once you get that far, next bit we want to do is just snip off the end. Chain easy because they're stainless steel. Fold it over and then tap it down so that you don't get your fingers caught on it. There we go. Now that's on there, I can take off my plastic wrap. It's tight, but it's not mega tight. I'll see how the rest go. Right, so I think I'll probably just get this done now. GoPro battery's nearly dead, so I'll get it done and I'll come back to you in a moment when I've got them all on, and I'm going to apply probably another little patch onto that bit and that bit where I've got it exposed at the back. Right, so that's the exhaust wrap done. I will show you it in a moment, but what a horrible job. There is definitely lots and lots of glass fibre particles in there, and I don't know whether you're like me, but I hate it. Like loft insulation, one job I could never do. Even if it paid £1 million a year, I could not work up in lofts. That glass fibre insulation, oh, I'm almost like allergic to it, and I wouldn't take a pay cut, of course. But yeah, it's absolutely horrible. I've wrapped it, I've got indoors, I've had a shower, I've changed all my clothes. I've got the apprentice going round at the moment, sweeping the floor, just to make sure all the particles get out. But yeah, nasty stuff. So I wore those gloves, they went through the gloves. Definitely wear a mask because it's airborne and will get into your lungs. That's nasty stuff. I'd recommend wearing overalls, I'd recommend wearing a hat. Yeah, I'd proper PPE yourself up because it's nasty stuff. But it's done now. Let's turn around and let's have a look at the result. I'm sorry about the noise. The apprentice is going around doing a great job. I want to make sure all those dust particles are gone because it's horrible. So it's done. It was a bit tricky, it was a bit fiddly. First time I've ever done this. I run out of tie wraps, the metal ones, so like here I've doubled up because there's quite a lot of thickness there. We got sort of 2-3 bits all joined together. That's actually a metal CV boot clip. Down the bottom here I've got a clamp on there, but there is an exhaust clamp that goes over there as well, this one here, so that will help hold it all, although it'll be a little bit more difficult to get on. Quite pleased with how it's come out. It's quite neat and tidy. Oh god, even touching it now I can't. It's horrible. It's all prickly. It's not nice. A little bit untidy at the back. Like here I've put in like a patch because there was a bare bit there. I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. You do want to keep the wrap quite even, because if you have more wrap in one place and less wrap in another, you'll create like localized hot spots, and then the metal expands and contracts at different rates and will crack eventually. Listen, it's not perfect. I'm sure people could do a better job, but for me that's fine. But absolutely horrible. I just do, even looking at it makes me itchy. So I'm going to put that away now, ready to go back on the car. Right, so there we go. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you found it useful. I didn't mention the price, so that heat wrap was a whopping £7.99. Cheap, innit? I mean, the metal clips are worth a couple of quid, aren't they? So very inexpensive. Is it titanium? I don't know. It's certainly got glass fibre in it. I'll let you know how I get on with it. You can probably get some really expensive wrap, but yeah, that's pretty cheap. Just as a reminder, like I said at the beginning of the video, please help me grow my second channel, Rev and Restore. I'll put a link to it at the end of this video. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, please do consider subscribing, because more than half of you are not subscribed, and I'd really love a sub on the other channel. If you want to drop me a comment, I do read all the comments and I really appreciate your support and feedback. I'll catch you again next week. Cheers.